Hello children, welcome back to my talks, and here I am with standard 11th biology. Okay, so today we are going to start with second chapter, that is biological classification. Now children, what is biological classification? Biological classification, last time what we did is living kingdom, where we did about diversity of living organisms. Yes, we talked about the plants as well as animals, okay, and there are diverse forms of living organisms, and classification, how classification helps, okay, because we cannot study all the organisms, hence classification is required, okay. And today we are going to study about this biological classification. Now here Aristotle for the first time, okay, again what was the basis of classification of organisms? So Aristotle over there, okay, classified the plants, you can say, normally into trees, shrubs and herbs, so that they can be studied. Okay, and so that was completely based on morphological characteristic features. So morphology, very soon that was like another classification came, on which when we talked about, Linnaeus gave two kingdom classification, where the whole of the living organisms, okay, they got differentiated into animal kingdom and plant kingdom. Means all those organisms which were autotrophic, which could prepare their own food, which contained chlorophyll, okay, they were placed into plant kingdom, and all others, those who were dependent upon the plants, were placed into animal kingdom. So Linnaeus was the scientist who gave two kingdom classification. But then quite many organisms were left. Okay, the fungi were left. It was very difficult. Again, sorry, the viruses were left. Fungi, okay, they did not contain chlorophyll, but viruses could not be considered whether they were plants or animals, living, non-living. So there were quite many confusions. Okay, and after that came the five kingdom classification. So five kingdom classification, that is R.H. Whittaker, the scientist. Okay, he gave five kingdom classification. Means the whole of the organisms. Now two kingdom classification में क्या था? Prokaryotes, eukaryotes के बीच में कोई differentiation नहीं थी. Okay, unicellular, multicellular के बीच में कोई differentiation नहीं था. So quite many things were not pinpointed over there. While that is why it was not accepted. And after that, Whittaker gave five kingdom classification. Okay, about which he talked about Monera, Protista, fungi, okay, Plantae and Animalia. So Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae and Animalia. So the whole of the kingdom was divided into that, and that is finally accepted. It is accepted till now. Got it, children? So five kingdom classification, again it is based upon, like when we talk about Monera, it includes all the prokaryotes, and when we talk about Protista, it includes all the eukaryotes, okay. And again when we go to fungus, the fungus, they are non-green, non-chlorophyll organisms, okay, so they come into fungus. And finally when we talk about Plantae, it contains all the plant organisms, you can say, the botany part. And then we come to Animalia, where again it is divided into classes, and again it includes all the animals over there. So there we have the, and at the end we have the viruses and the virology and all that. So this was the complete classification which was accepted. So when we talk about Monera, Monera included all the prokaryotes. Now what are prokaryotes, children? Prokaryotes are those organisms, okay, which do not have true nucleus, okay, and they do not have a well-defined cell wall also. Okay, so the one organism in prokaryotes, okay, that is bacteria, and we are going to study about bacteria in this particular Monera. Now Monera again is divided into Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. Okay, Archaebacteria includes the halophils, okay, the thermoacidophils, methanogens, okay, thermo, which can again contain, which can thrive on quite high temperatures, okay, and which can stay in marshy places, methanogens. And these methanogens, children, are present in the gut, in the alimentary canal, okay, of the ruminant animals. Ruminant animals means the cows, the buffaloes, the goats. It is present in that. Okay, and it produces the biogas or the methane, which can be said, okay, from the dung. गाय के गोबर से बायोगैस बनाते हैं, so it is because of these methanogens which produces methanes. Okay, so and the eubacteria, they are the true bacteria which has a rigid cell wall around it. Okay, and those which are motile, they possess flagella, and these flagellas are present in those organisms which are motile. And then we have the ones which are present in colonies. Okay, that is surrounded by a gelatinous sheath. So eubacteria, there are also ones which fix up nitrogen fixing bacteria. Okay, they all come into this eubacteria. I'll just take the book and see if I have left something. Okay, so two kingdom classification, I've talked about Plantae and Animalia. Okay, and here we talked about the algae. Okay, Chlamydomonas and Spirogyra is mentioned in your book. Excuse me. Okay, so Chlamydomonas, Spirogyra, when we talk about algae, when we talk about the complete classification, we are going to talk about it over there. Okay, they are the ones, the Spirogyras, they are aquatic organisms. Okay, and ribbon shaped. Spirogyra is ribbon shaped, whereas Chlamydomonas is, they have got flagellas. Okay, and you can see a table over here, children, in page number 17. Where the five kingdom is divided into Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia on the basis of cell type. Prokaryotes and eukaryotes, I've already told you. Prokaryotic organisms are those which do not have a well-defined cell wall, whose organelles are also not well-defined. While eukaryotes are those which have well-defined organelles. Got it? And cell walls, again, in Monera, it is made up of polysaccharide and amino acid. Protista, without it may be present in some fungi. This you can do it for yourself. Okay, nuclear body organization and mode of nutrition. Hope you understand. Photosynthetic, chemosynthetic. Chemosynthetic is deriving bonds. Okay, from the chemical bonds, inorganic nitrates, nitrites, phosphates. Okay, and deriving energy from that. Saprophytic, which thrives upon the dead organisms, derives nourishment from that. Got it? So Monera we have come to. Monera, again, the bacteria is divided according to the shape. That is what I left. Okay, the round shape, that is cocci. Okay, then we have the rod shape, that is bacilli, and we have spiral shape, that is spirilla. Okay, which has flagella at the ends, and then we have the comma shaped, which is known as vibrio. So it is differentiated on the shape which it possesses. Okay, and they may be, again, bacteria are autotrophic. Some can synthesize their own food from inorganic substrates. Okay, so Archaebacteria we have talked about. Halophils, which thrives in salty areas. Okay, and Methanogens marshy, hot springs. Because these bacteria can, when we talk about the monerans, they thrive in sometimes extremes of temperatures, in hot springs. Okay, hot springs, boiling water is there, so there they can thrive off the coldest temperature mein. So they can thrive in extremes of conditions. Okay, so Archaebacteria, I told you, biogas and all. Eubacteria, yes, the heterocyst, yes, it says that nitrogen fixing, it fixes atmospheric nitrogen. Example is nostoc, the one which is given in your book. Okay, heterocyst is the cell which is a specialized cell which helps in fixing nitrogen. Okay, and then we have the other one. They also play a very great role in recycling this nitrogen, recycling of nitrogen, phosphorus and all that. And then we talk about the heterotrophic bacteria. Okay, these bacteria also act as decomposers. Now children, decomposers what? Okay, if you remember in 10th what we did, we had done producers, consumers and decomposers when we did ecology. Okay, in ecosystem. So producers were plants, consumers were those which thrived upon, which fed upon the plants, and decomposers were that after the death of the consumers, okay, that which helped in decay of the organisms. So they were decomposers. So these bacteria, heterotrophics also are decomposers. They are most abundant in nature. They are also used for making curd. Now which is the bacteria which is used for making curd? Lactobacillus. Okay, nitrogen, then we have the leguminous ones which are found in the rhizobium. okay, which is found in the root nodules of legumes. Okay, and then again we talk about this reproduction. Okay, normally when we see some of them also cause diseases in animals and pets. Okay, like cholera, typhoid, citrus canker. Okay, so these are the diseases, some of them, and normally they reproduce by fission. Okay, they divide into two, and this is how the reproduction takes place. And sometimes when the sexual reproduction takes place, that is by adopting DNA transfer, a method of DNA transfer from one bacterium to the other. And yes, children, mycoplasma is the one oldest and simplest organism, okay, which is said to survive or thrive without oxygen. Okay, they do not contain cell wall, and they are the smallest living cells. Please note it down. Mycoplasmas are the smallest living cells, okay, and they can survive without oxygen. And there are many, they are pathogenic. Now what is pathogenic? That which causes diseases in plants and animals. Got it? So this was what we did till here. So what you have to do is learn to draw the diagram of Nostoc. Okay, that you do, and try making the characteristic, try making a table, okay, of Archaebacteria and Eubacteria, and write down the characteristics of Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. Let us come to Protista now. This is kingdom Protista. Protista, I told you that all single-celled, both of them were single-celled, okay. Monera, single-celled prokaryotes, and here we have Protista, which is single-celled eukaryotes. Okay, so this is single-celled eukaryotes, and the boundaries are not very well defined. Okay, so some of the scientists, some of the biologists, they say that they may be photosynthetic, and some they may include some of the organisms from this particular category into Protista, and some may include it into plants. So there is a confusion. So that confusion always keeps over there. Okay, and then what we have, the Protista is divided into these 5 classes, where we have chrysophytes, the anoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds, and protozoans. Now children, taking the book with me and explaining it to you line by line is because this is completely new for you. You don't know anything about it. And when you sit with the book, it's not that I give the lecture and it becomes vague for you, and that is why with the book I'm trying to explain so that I don't miss anything. Okay, and still again in the mid only I want to tell you, do put a big thumbs up when you watch the video. Okay, don't go like that, just watch and leave it. Don't do that. Okay, as I'm thinking about you, do appreciate, because your likes and your views encourages me to think more about you and make more better videos. Yes, go to my motivational part also, that will help you to live your life better. So I have motivational playlist also, so you can go and watch that. Okay, so again, like, share and subscribe. Let me go to Protista part. So let us talk about Protista now. Protistas, here we have chrysophytes first we'll do. Okay, so they are normally the algae. It contains the algae. Okay, so it contains diatoms and golden algae over here, and these golden algae are known as desmids. So normally the major ones, it includes the producers. The algae are producers, aquatic producers you can say, and then they are free moving in water currents. They will contain flagella, and they are planktons. Planktons, again as it is said, the eukaryotic plants which are found in water bodies, you can say, in water, okay, aquatic. So they are planktonic. So finally what it says is they are microscopic and they keep floating in water. Okay, the most important thing over here is they have 2 thin overlapping shells. Now children, 2 thin overlapping shells का मतलब क्या हुआ? That their shells, okay, soap case देखा है ना आप लोगों ने? Okay, let me show you like this. So soap case का क्या है? यूं एक रहेगा, ये नीचे वाला पार्ट, और ये उसके ऊपर नीचे रहेगा. Okay, something like this. Suppose this is the lower part and the other one will fix upon it. Okay, halfway. वो थोड़ा बड़ा रहेगा, एक छोटा रहेगा और एक उसके ऊपर से कवर रहेगा. So this is how it is. When we talk about this chrysophytes, it is like a soap case. The cell walls have 2 overlapping positions, 2 overlapping shells. Okay, and the shells have got embedded silica on it. Silica embedded, the outer wall is embedded with silica. Okay, and that is what makes the wall indestructible. And because these organisms are there in water, when they die off, what happens? Okay, these silicas get accumulated in the lower layers of the seas, oceans. Okay, and it gives a very gritty appearance, and because of this gritty, it is used for polishing, filtration of the oils and making syrups over there. So these are the uses. Okay, and it is a chief producer that I've already told you. Got it? So finally, when we go to gyanoflagellates, that is the second one. Chrysophytes, we did diatoms and all that. Okay, the silica and the double walled, okay, overlapping walls. And now we go to gyanoflagellates. Now gyanoflagellates, they are photosynthetic, okay, marine, found in water, and they have different color depending upon the pigments which are present in them. They may be yellow, green, all that. Okay, cell walls have got cellulose walls. Cellulose plate walls means very thick walls. Cellulose का flexible नहीं है. जैसे कोई भी चीज बहुत flexible होती है. This page, I can fold it in any way. If it's very stiff, it's a cardboard cover, it cannot be. So not a very good example, but still that stiffness, okay, so that it is made up of cellulose plates. You can say the outer wall, okay, and most of them have got two flagellas. Two flagellas are present, and the example, red gyanoflagellates are there. Okay, example is Vonilex, and here what happens? It multiplies so very fast, and the reproduction is so very fast that it gives a red color to the water. Okay, the whole of the water appears red because of the reproduction rate, the multiplication rate. Okay, and it's very toxic also. It releases toxins which is harmful for all the other aquatic organisms, okay, in the water. So next we come to euglenoids, the third one. Now euglenoids normally are freshwater organisms and they are found in stagnant water. Now children, what is stagnant water? ठहरा हुआ पानी, जो पानी moving नहीं है, there it is found. And here instead of the outer cell wall. Now पहला gyanoflagellates में क्या था? हमारा cellulose plate था. Euglenoids में क्या है? Protein wall होगा. The wall will be rich in protein, and it is also called pellicle. Pellicle is rich in protein. Okay, and they will also have two flagellas, one short and one long, and in the presence of sunlight, when the sun is there, okay, they'll be able to prepare food. They'll be autotrophic, and when sunlight is not there, they behave like heterotrophs. So one organism which is autotroph as well as heterotroph, that is euglena. Okay, the euglena. So I have it in Viva. I'm going to ask you. So do keep writing these things. Watch the video nicely. Watch again and again and again. Okay, whenever you have a doubt, just open it. I'm making the videos for you so that you have it at your hand, and whenever there is a doubt, you can just put a click and you can watch it. Okay, that is why. Otherwise, I would have taken a class and I would have left it. You always have to refer your book. So here everything is very precise. So go through it. Okay, and heterotrophs and autotrophs, one organism, that is euglena. Okay, then we have the pigment of euglenoids, okay, that is again identical to other higher plants, that is again chlorophyll sort of organisms. The best example, euglena, I have already told you. Now let's come to slime molds. Okay, slime molds normally includes decomposers. They are decomposers, okay, amoeba sort of. So let's talk about saprophytic protists. It says saprophytic, that which feeds upon dead organisms, which derives its nourishment, okay, for survival from dead organisms. And these normally move on decaying twigs. जैसे मैंने बोला कि जो कुछ भी सड़ता है उसके ऊपर वो survive करता है, उससे वो energy लेता है. Okay, and whenever it is suitable, when the conditions are favorable, okay, they multiply, and the aggregation, the whole lot is known as, slime mold is known as plasmodium over here. Okay, and the plasmodium may be quite big. It may grow to several feet, it says. Okay, the multiplication rate, just it forms a colony sort of. And during unfavorable conditions, when the conditions are not favorable, they will form fruiting bodies at the tip which bears spores. Okay, and the spores will possess walls, okay, and they'll be resistant, okay, to survive for quite many years and even under adverse conditions. And whenever the conditions will be favorable, the spores will disperse these spores by air currents, and it may give rise to other slime molds. So this was slime mold. Slime mold क्या था? Saprophytic था. Okay, then it survived on decaying organisms, unfavorable conditions. What it did? It formed floating bodies. Okay, and finally the spores, and whenever the conditions returned favorable, it was released with the help of air currents. It moved. And the last one, we come to protozoans. Yes, protozoans, all protozoans. Yes, protozoans are heterotrophs, that which do not prepare their own food. They will be dependent upon autotrophs for their survival, and they live as predators or parasites. They are also said to be the oldest, the primitive of all the animals, and they are divided into 4 categories. The first one, amoeboid protozoans. So this lives in fresh water. Euglenoid जैसे हमने किया, Euglena, okay, amoeba also freshwater organism, and moist soil. They move and they capture their food, capture their prey by pseudopodia. Pseudopodia is false feet. तो क्या करेंगे? Suppose the organism is something like this. Okay, it is something like this, and whenever it sees feet, okay, it will grow into like this. So this will be known as pseudopodia. Pseudopodia. Okay, this is also known as false feet. Whenever it sees food, वो ऐसे करके it goes and encircles. तो food encircle हो जाएगा, it engulfs the food. So that is what is said. Okay, and this also has silica on its shells on the surface. Okay, and some of them like Entamoeba histolytica, they are the parasites. The other is flagellated protozoans. Okay, they are free living or parasitic. As the name suggests, they have flagella. Okay, they are parasitic, causing sleeping sickness, and yes, the example is Trypanosoma. And ciliated protozoans will have cilia. So what is the difference between flagella and cilia? Flagella will be numbered. You can count it. Cilia will be throughout the body. So here they are aquatic, and they normally will have thousands of cilia over their body, and they have a gullet, an opening towards outside through which the food enters, and the cilia drive the food, okay, into the direction of the gullet, the coordinated movement. Okay, example again, Paramecium. And the last one is sporozoans, and this is an infectious stage, the spore-like stage in the life cycle. Okay, what we did is slime molds, over there it is connected, and this is the spores which are released, that comes into that, and when it multiplies and it grows to a fit, okay, that is Plasmodium. Okay, the malarial parasite, the most notorious in this, the spore-like stage is known as sporozoans, and when it multiplies, the stage Plasmodium